right, welcome back to episode 40 of Counter at Your Own Risk. This is going to be part 4, where we talk about A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. Leading us through this portion of the podcast is going to be Kent again, so take it away, bud.
Alright, first and foremost, I know I'm going to take some shit for this, but this is my second favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and I know that is not a popular opinion, and I'm okay with that. This has an amazing soundtrack, and I know that's probably not what we all came here to talk about, but I don't know if you guys ever looked at the fucking soundtrack. There is the new girl, Tuesday Night, who replaced Patricia Arquette. She sings the opening song, Nightmare. You have the Divinal singing Back to the Wall. Drama-Rama doing Anything, Anything, which is a fucking amazing song. Billy Idol with Fatal Charm. Pride and Joy by Joe Lamont. And a Sinead O'Connor song called I Want Your Hands on Me. Like, that's a pretty stacked fucking lineup right there, in my opinion. And I think Did we establish earlier that this was right around the same time the Fresh Prince song happened, right, Chris?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. So, first and foremost, that's going to be my first thing, is how good the soundtrack is. I've read that this is the most MTV Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and with that soundtrack, it's hard to argue. So, basically, this movie said, all right, why was part 3 successful? We did some creative dream sequences. We did some really creative kills. We gave Freddy more personality. And I'll go on record right now. I don't care what anybody says. People have been telling me for years that Freddy is scarier in Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 2 than he is the rest of the franchise. And I could not disagree more, because I think Freddy is fucking a Looney Tune in part 1. In part 2, he is scarier, but he just doesn't do a whole lot. So I guess I'm a man of results, and damn it, the man got results in parts 3 and 4. He got a lot of good results while getting a few zingers in. So, yeah, I'm just going to say, I find him scarier in 3 and 4. By part 6, I don't find him scary at all, but that's a whole other thing. With that being said, we have a lot of good dream sequences again. This movie's just like, oh, you had 3 survivors from the last movie. Well, fuck them. We're going to use Kincaid. We're going to give him a dog named Jason, because Nightmare on Elm Street likes to reference fucking other horror movies. So Jason the dog can now piss fire, which creates a fucking opening in the ground, which happens to be where Freddy's bones were laid to rest by Dr. Neil Gordon. And the fiery piss reinvigorates Freddy. Like, that's something we don't talk about, is how and why, like, it makes no sense how Freddy actually comes back in any of these movies, quite frankly. It doesn't make any sense, but yeah, like, people will talk about how he dies, but nobody really kind of discusses, like, how he returns, because it doesn't make any sense, and yeah, you just kind of talk yourself into nothing. Anyways, Kincaid is the first victim. He tried, but he got trapped by cars in the junkyard. That didn't go so well. Then Joey has a great death, because he has that really, really hot chick on his wall on the poster, and then she appears in the waterbed below him. Now, what doesn't make sense is that by the time Freddy's done with him, somehow Joey has inserted himself into the waterbed mattress. And I normally would talk more here, but I gotta ask right away, is that at all possible? Isn't there just like a little valve for the...
Yeah, it's like a little valve that you can hook a fucking hose up to, and that's it.
So there's no possible way that Joey could have ended up in there, like, via suicide. Like, there's just no possible way at all.
Yeah, no.
Correct?
No.
Okay, fantastic. Basically, they're just saying, that's not possible, but we have this super attractive nude woman, and nobody gave a fuck because, she was super attractive.
Titties.
Yeah.
And it looked good.
Like
the him coming. Because the parents find him in the waterbed, right, is what you're saying. Because, like, with the woman, it's obviously in the dream sequence, but...
Yeah.
Where...
Yeah, the parents find him in the... his hair, I mean, I know it's just because he's, underwater, but it reminds me so much of the original Creepshow with the Leslie Nielsen, Ted Danson sequence when they're underwater. I don't know why I correlate those two, but that's my correlation. As I mentioned, Patricia Arquette is no longer in the franchise, which... Kevin, you watched the documentary. Did they go over this? Why she didn't return? Because I've only heard.
Yeah, they made
like
they made like a big deal about it too. Where like when they got to the Dream Warriors. So I read in an interview with Patricia Arquette in Bloody Flicks that was in 2017 that she basically wanted more meatier roles. She just did a movie of the week about teen pregnancy. And it wasn't that she wanted to do like bigger movies. I think she just didn't want to do another horror film and get kind of stuck into the genre. And honestly, I think she's just an actor and she just wanted to act, and there was, it was a grueling set. I mean, she was stuck in that, the Freddy snake thing for that was like a few days of shooting. I believe, where she actually fell asleep in it. So, and the thing that I got, what I've never heard said, because there's been a lot of things said, and rumors about why she didn't come back. But in the documentary, they said that like everyone on set fell in love with Patricia Arquette, and it was all those kids and Joey especially. And I think she might have just had I don't want to deal with all of that with a bunch of teenage kids my age and everyone lusting over her, I think maybe that might have had something to do with it, because I don't know. Robert Englund said people were coming to him and asking him for advice, and he was like, I don't know, but.
Could you imagine being Robert Englund and having all these late teens, early 20-year-olds asking him for advice? Yeah. Fuck me, man. That would be kind of weird, right?
I've been out of the dating game for 30 years, guys. I don't know how you hook up with teens anymore. Maybe there'll be these things called apps in another 30 or 40 years that you can use.
Yeah. Do you think it was a missed opportunity? Because really, Kristen has it's a small part of the movie, but it's such an important part of the movie in how she passes along the gift to Alice. I don't know. I almost feel like Patricia Arquette, it doesn't seem like any aspect of that film was that grueling of a process for that role, right?
Well, there was definitely more partial nudity with Kristen in this one than there was in 3. I mean, I don't know how that factors in. But I would imagine that made it easier for them to pick up somebody new than somebody like Patricia. Especially because even though she hadn't been in a ton of stuff, her family was, Susanna and Rosanna were already pretty established.
I think she was just over it. She was she did that. She liked it, and it was let's move on to the next character, let's move on. I think she just really wanted to act. So I don't think that she missed an opportunity, because her career is probably, better than most of the people in that movie, arguably. Who else? Robert Englund, or maybe Lawrence Fishburne, But, Robert Englund is
Lawrence
basically
Fishburne.
only known for Freddy Krueger or other kinds of, Yeah, you really got to be into the genre, or V, and then there's just very niche genre horror films, where
right. Right. So to go along with this thought, then, I never really liked Tuesday Night as an actress, but this past couple times around, actually, I've kind of liked her as like as a replacement, all things considered, I think she worked out pretty well. Plus, she gave us the song, which I really thought the song was good. Would you say that she was a good fill-in, all things considered?
Well,
No.
I mean, was she better than Patricia Arquette?
She screamed better than Patricia Arquette did, less annoyingly. But was she a good fill-in? No. It felt like they might as well have just used a completely different character.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Chris also doesn't
I mean, it was okay.
And I'm a defender of it, so I fully expect Chris to say no to me.
I remember liking this one and putting it up right after 3 before I went and did this rewatch. And after it is second from the bottom for me.
Fair enough.
And a large portion of that is just due to the characters. You're right in a lot of what you said about it being creative with the dream sequences, Kent. But I didn't like Kristen in this one. I didn't like what they did with Kincaid and Joey right at the beginning. I didn't like the new band of kids and fucking what the hell's her name?
Yvonne or Debbie or Alice?
Alice. Fucking, I couldn't stand Alice at all. At one point towards the beginning of the movie, I'm like, is this girl fucking autistic or is it just me? And I mean, it gets better as you go on, but
you could make that argument.
You went from a relatively cool group. Oh no, you went from a fucking cool group of characters in part 3 to the fucking rejects in part 4.
I would say Rick was arguably the least coolest of the group, and it's funny, reading some of the stuff, I got the feeling that a lot of people did not really like the dude that played Rick. He ran very weird. His acting wasn't very good at all. And realistically, his death scene, I don't know, is that the one that's the most out of place for you guys, or no?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the kung fuing the air.
Well, first he's taking a shit, and then all these cheerleaders and his sister come into the stall. He rides an elevator and then ends up in this room full of, Japanese Asian stuff. And yeah, the kung fu scene, that's all all over the fucking place for me.
Well, that scene was all over the place because they had a scene where he sinks into something and it's black sky or something, some sort of abyss, but they didn't have money for it, so they had to pretty much use the set of his bedroom, and they didn't have Robert Englund there either because they couldn't afford it, so it was just him fighting the air. But the elevator thing I think was part of it, and I thought the beginning of it was pretty cool, but I mean, I think that's what makes it an after-school special in this one, is that it's the brother dies, and how do you cope after that?
Fair enough.
Well, not to mention having an alcoholic father.
Yeah, well,
that's true.
And yeah, it's a very before there was Inception, Kirsten's mom drugs her. So.
All right, so. Kent, which death do you think got me the most in this one, or took me out of it the most?
Oh,
knowing what you know about me and what I find I hate in real life.
Oh, I'm guessing
with the cockroach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But everything about that. All right, I like I don't know if juxtaposition's the right term, but I mean, we have Alice and Dan just going in fucking crazy circles, which they eventually kind of repeat a little bit in Freddy's Dead. And then you have Debbie as the cockroach, which is visually, for what it is, I thought visually it looked pretty good. makeup-wise and stuff, right?
Yeah, those arms were like fucking horrible. You know, like when they get to the actual transformation when she completely changes. Yeah, that was fucked up. That was gross as fuck, but it was good. But like when she's just wandering around and she's got the two like cockroach arms like hanging out from her broken spot on her arm, you know, like that was like, they didn't even look like real, like special, you know, real props. It looked like fucking rubber, you know, like a Toho monster suit from the 1970s.
I mean, the arms looked bad, and yeah, you're right. No, it did.
I really liked it. It's actually one of my favorite death scenes, but it is ridiculous. But you know, and while I was watching it, I'm like, so basically, did they do this for the only reason because The Fly came out 2 years before? Like, it seemed very like out of nowhere, the whole cockroach thing, like specifically cockroach.
I mean, who doesn't like fucking Cronenberg? So I see no reason why that couldn't have been a reason.
Oh, you know, and that brings me up something I forgot to mention the last time. 3 reminded me of like what you would get if you threw Nightmare on Elm Street and The Breakfast Club together, and that had come out like I think a year and a half before the movie did. So possibly an influence.
Nice. I liked that this movie. I think this movie kind of set the standard of within the first 3 minutes of meeting any character, we're going to give them 1 or 2 stereotypes, and that's what their character is going to be known for. The whole film. That's it.
That works. Yeah, that's true.
Yvonne has asthma, and she's smart and created a device at night to ultrasonic sound waves to keep away bugs for her friend, because that's what you do in high school, right? You guys all made that for your friends, right?
Oh, shit, yeah, dude. I made all sorts of, cool science experiments and stuff.
Yeah. This is, I noted again how much the house gets worse and worse looking with each film, and this is the point where it was really driving me nuts. Like, just bulldoze the fucking house.
And then my question becomes, if Freddy's not haunting the house, why the fuck is he bringing them back there? Like, when it has no meaning to them, since they're not Nancy, didn't grow up there. And then in part 6, don't they imply that that's the house that he lived in?
That is something I was trying to figure out, because I was also wondering, why are kids hanging out there? If that's the case,
if he lived in that, why would the family of the people who murdered him and had move into that same, like, I don't.
Right. Your guess is as good as mine, man. There's a lot going on. I want to throw out, because, Chris, you know how much I want to always bring up this movie. The nude girl in Joey's Dream played the wife of Charlie Campion in the original The Stand miniseries. And she was also in Slumber Party Massacre 3. Random ass stuff right there. You're welcome.
And, see, I mean, to go back to, like, Joey and Kincaid going out like bitches. Like,
oh my God, so
Joey
bad.
gets fucking caught the exact same fucking way that he did in the last movie. Like, didn't he learn his fucking lesson? Like,
No.
if a hot chick way beyond your means starts fucking making out with you, don't go into the waterbed.
Yeah, that makes no sense of what you just said, Chris. You go into the waterbed every time. Yeah.
50% of the time, every time, okay?
No, man, don't go in. Don't go in there.
You go in and you chase those waterfalls, my friend. Is there something involving Freddy's tongue in every Nightmare movie?
I think so. I don't know if is it everyone, but a lot of them. Ooh.
Was there in 2?
Well, 2, it's Jesse when he's
all of them, I think.
About to have, or like making out with Lisa. Yeah.
Oh yeah, his tongue.
Yeah, with Lisa.
Freddy's tongue comes out. And what about 3?
The nurse, yeah.
3 was the tongue
bondage
to the bed.
That's right, yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm. And then there's the phone in the first one?
Yeah.
5?
Yeah.
Phone in the first one and in 6.
I don't have examples for every movie, but you guys
I don't remember 5.
For
Did
me,
you
I
find one?
appreciate it.
But I guess we're skipping
I don't
ahead.
remember 1 and 5 either. Maybe they thought that like the whole issue of gang rape would probably, maybe take away from the tongues in that one.
So I think Chris already said this, but Kevin, I'll ask you. Alice, do you like it? Did you prefer her as quiet daydreamer or badass Alice?
I mean, I don't even know. The thing I liked about Alice, I think the best nightmare, maybe not sequence aesthetically, but the best nightmare is that she's still a waitress when she's like 60 years old. And I do like Alice though. She is pretty good, but I think just the fact that like they kill off everyone that was in the good movie, Dream Warriors, off so quickly, that, it's always kind of disappointing, like when you have like I'm speaking of like when I was a kid and watched it. I feel like I probably stopped watching this movie after Kristen
they just
died.
killed off the 3 people that you were cheering on the most, and the only, aside from Freddy, the people you knew. And could they have done this though, and made sense of it by keeping Joey and Kincaid and Kristen around longer, or was it just that their deaths were so bad that you found it unappealing?
Oh, I mean, Kincaid dying in the beginning, like in the junkyard, scared me as a kid. I mean, I think the thing about this that I never thought of before, because I probably didn't follow them like this, but this is the very first direct sequel to the movie previous to it. Where like at number 4, it's the first direct sequel, which is kind of odd. And I think I just didn't really know how to like, all of that. And then you got like new characters and stuff. And then, the brother was super cheesy. But I mean, I had a lot of fun with it this time around. I'm not trying to like criticize it for how I feel about it now, because I really like 4. I mean, I basically like all of them.
It's
and like the going under surgery thing, I thought was pretty crazy too. Not that I'm like super scared about that now, but that's like a place where you have to go under, and that's a place where you're not safe. So I thought, I really liked it.
In series like this, you end up following the villain more than any individual characters, because for the most part, the characters are going to get murked as you go through each movie. I mean, that's where the enjoyment comes from. But like, I mean, you had these characters in 3 get dream powers, and it wasn't necessary, that Kristen bring him in, because Kincaid was still strong, even when he wasn't there with them. So, like, Kincaid getting crushed by cars, I'm like, literally 15 minutes ago, the dude was strong enough to probably, like, fucking push the cars off of himself. So, that kind of, it's like forgetting what came before and just, I don't want to say shitting on it, but just, like, ignoring it. The cool stuff. Like having Joey fall for the exact same shtick from Freddy, when they've already been warned that Freddy's coming back. I mean, like, if I, as a person, was being haunted by somebody who's going to try to kill me in my dreams, and he had already sucked me in by appealing to my lust, any dream I have involving lust is going to be fucking suspect at that point. And, like, I didn't dislike Alice because of the actress, but at the same time, I think a stronger actress could have fucking knocked that role out of the park. Could have gone on to become something iconic like Linda Hamilton or Sigourney Weaver. And instead, like, I fucking don't even know the actress's name, and I've fucking
Lisa Wilcox.
wouldn't remember it by tomorrow if you told me. Thanks a lot, Kent.
You're welcome.
So it's not horrible, but and then we do get some, I don't want to say retcons, but new shit like the whole idea of the Dream Masters just popping up in part 4, and like why Alice is a Dream Master is never really explained. The two.
She knows a rhyme, dude. That's why.
Well, what if I knew the rhyme? Could I be the Dream Master instead of that? The whole idea of the two dream doors, and like you said, man, this is like the weakest Freddy goes out.
Oh God, yeah. Not always. Okay, it's funny because of part 3 with the mirrors. So now all right. Let's talk about the ending, because there's a lot going on. First and foremost, Alice knows enough to punch a hole through the wall and grab a electric cable, attach it to this device that Yvonne made, and know that you're going to somehow, blast a hole through Freddy's chest, only for him to just wipe it clean 3 seconds later and just laugh at her, which defeats the whole purpose of this gimmick to begin with. Like, you didn't need that gimmick. Why did it exist? It didn't need to.
Well, because Yvonne's thing was a Chekhov's science project until they actually used it.
It's just, I don't know. I hated that device. I to this day I hate that device, and it's actually probably my least favorite part of the whole movie is the using of that device only for Freddy to just be like, haha, nothing. But all right. I want to bring up that when Freddy and Alice are on top of the pews, they're circling around each other while walking on just the tops of the pews. They're able to circle around each other. It didn't look like they were trying to balance on top of pews. That's all I'm saying. The footwork was way off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Is this that for the theater sequence?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end when they're in the church, the final confrontation.
I have a problem with blurring 4 and 5 together. So is that the one with the big Freddy chest where they start coming out?
Yes, and I just want to throw out that Linnea Quigley, known for Return of the Living Dead 1 or 2, she was the nude chick in that one, is also the topless chick that shows her tits in Freddy's body at the very end.
Yeah.
I do not think she's known for much else, but she is very popular amongst the horror genre.
That was the reason why I couldn't watch this movie, because I wasn't allowed to see so my dad would let me watch it in parts, and then it would be the opening scene with Joey. I wouldn't have been allowed to see that, and then I would watch the end, and it's the whole end thing is coming out, and then all of a sudden boobs come out of Freddy Krueger, and he's like, all right, you can't watch this. So I never really got to watch it all the way through when I was young. So, but that was this one. So I thought that was cool. I thought there was a lot of cool stuff, but you're talking about what was it? Just shoots out a Star Wars laser thing out of the device. Is that what happened?
Yeah, it's just bad. It's so bad. I don't know. Can you explain it better, Chris? It's just a weird. I don't know.
She's got that little. It almost looks like a taser from Star Trek, kind of, or a phaser from Star Trek, kind of thing that she never uses. But she's like, oh, it'll ultrasonically keep the bugs away from you. And then, like Kent said, she punches a hole into the ball and rips an active electrical conduit out to hook it into that, and then shoots a really cheesy blue CGI laser through Freddy and blows a hole in him, which is actually a decent special effect because you see a shot from behind him, where you see his insides, around the hole, and then he just heals up automatically, and you're like, yep, okay, that was just, a waste of 30 minutes or 30 seconds. Yeah. I will say I really enjoyed the part, though, in the dream when she's in school and wakes up and she's talking to the school nurse, and Robert Englund is playing the school nurse.
Oh, yeah.
That made me laugh.
Great one.
Okay. regarding the school, after Yvonne dies, Alice lets out the scream. Now, this is, I think, the real world, and yet, like, some gust of wind destroys all the windows in the room, and nobody, like, it's never discussed again. Like, was that supposed to be the real world, or was that
I think
dream?
she's still in the dream, because after that, isn't that when she wakes up and Freddy's the nurse?
Yeah.
Oh, God, maybe. That's entirely possible. All right.
It was like Inception. It was, she was in the third layer, and then...
Yeah. I have two quick things, and I'm good. I want to just point out that the grave situation. Did anybody notice that Kincaid and Kristen are just buried next to Nancy because that makes sense? Like,
yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, I worked with him once at an insane asylum, so obviously, they should bury him next to me.
Right. Like, that just cracked me up. And the other thing that I really had to laugh about is, like, Alice wakes up from the dream that, Kristen just got fucking thrown into the fire. And she's like, Rick, we gotta go check on Kristen. He's like, are we sure? Like, you might just be, like, he's in denial, not really wanting to go check on his girlfriend, even though 2 other people just got murdered, like, the past 2 nights. Nah, he really didn't seem all that interested in, like, bothering
I wouldn't
his
either.
girlfriend's house to check on
people
her.
just died.
It felt very weird. It was just, Rick is, I don't know, Rick is one of the worst characters in Nightmare history as far as I'm concerned. Enjoyable in the worst way possible.
I couldn't stand his hair too, man. You talk about hair games, that was not a good hair.
Dude, he wore a suit with a sweater to high school. Like, everything about him was just kind of way the fuck off. And I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, but the last thing we see, the final scene, now Freddy just got killed by seeing his own reflection. What do we see at the end? Freddy's reflection in the water.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, think of how many times he's popped up behind somebody while they're looking in a mirror, and then they turn around and he's not there. I mean, how can you look... I mean, unless he's like purposely avoiding looking at himself in the mirror, like, I'm only staring at the back of Nancy's head,
Yeah. All right, that's all I got. You guys got any other things?
It wasn't bad, but it just wasn't as good as I remembered it being.
One thing that I thought was super odd is that the end credits, I don't know if anyone noticed this, but it was in alphabetical order. And the first characters is like coach and friend, like it's not like any of the main characters. So it was just like a really odd way to do the end credits, like not like in order of appearance or, whatever. It's like the first 2 characters is like the coach, friend. Like, I don't even know who those people are. So I just thought that was like, I don't know, consistent with the mess.
We never find out who the floozy is that's with Dan as well. Like, Dan at one point's in the diner, and like this random chick's like, Dan, are you coming or not? And like, we don't ever get her name or anything. And by the end, like, she's just out of Dan's life. He's totally into Alice.
Oh, and just to correct us, because we've been fucking up the entire time we've been doing this one, Yvonne is the friend in part 5. Sheila was the friend who gave her the phaser thing in this one.
Shit. My bad.
It's okay. I mean, sorry. I didn't catch that either.
Oh, the suck face math exam. Yeah, I didn't write any of their names down, but yeah, Yvonne is the...
Yvonne is the fucking
5.
annoying one in part 5.
Oh, why... How was Freddy able to carve, like, his claws into the locker room when we first get the opening credits? Like,
dude,
there's a glowing...
I don't even know how Freddy does any of the shit he does anymore. I'm fucking dumb at this point.
They're just like, well, Freddy can't do much in the real world except when we kind of need something to look cool. That's what I get out of it.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think cocaine was pretty cheap in 1988. So my answer to most of these questions, yeah.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
All right, let's move onward then, I guess.
All right, guys, we'll be back for part 5, The Dream Child, in just a little bit.